if they're a good kisser, you're probably gonna know in the few minutes, all right, I'm probably gonna sleep with this person. Or if they're a bad kisser, you know for sure, like there's no fucking way.
You know, obviously I've dated women as well, and women tend to be much more thoughtful in the way they kiss.
There's no reason for it to be like okay for a guy and not okay for a girl. Like that's just man-made. That's made up. Like if it's okay for one type of person or gender or whatever, then it's okay for everybody.
It's no accident that sounds like you're leveling up in a video game. 48% of 18 to 29-year-olds have an online dating profile.
Make them work for it.
45% of people say they're more frustrated with this form of dating than hopeful.
There are so many people you can connect with.
Should I swipe right?
Swipe wrong. Swipe wrong. Setting the record straight on dating apps. Everyday people telling everyday stories of the swipe right world with your host, Chaos.
Well, I know he had a good time.
The show that is number one during Sunday sermons. I don't know if it's true, but it's my story and I'm sticking with it. The Swipe Wrong Podcast. I'm Chaos. I'm the one, along with producer Jay, to bring you the stories from everybody so you can hear that you are not the only one that attracts the crazy. There's enough crazy out there for all of us to go around, and there's also enough good times. There's enough fun times. There's enough great dates, great sex, some laughter. It's all out there. It just seems like the chaos is the one that draws most of the attention, and you're definitely some jaw-dropping stories so far. So far, what have we learned? It is mucho important to do background checks. Definitely do background checks. Can't stress those enough. Even if you feel like you're vibing with the guy or the girl, do the background check just to make sure that everything checks out. There's plenty of free sites out there, and there's some pretty inexpensive paid for ones that you can get a little bit more details on. The other thing I think that's important that we learned is have that support group, whether it be a couple of friends that you guys just screenshot conversations and send them to each other and say, hey, what do you think of this? What do I do here? Or what do you make of this? How should I respond? Or just, hey, can you believe what this bastard sent me? Things like that. Keeps you sane, keeps you feeling good, and keeps things flowing for you. That's why I'm really digging this episode. You've heard from both these ladies before. They are each other's support group. I thought that was real important to get on the first season, just so you can hear how they interact with each other and how they talk about situations that come up where one sees something from a guy that she's talking to and doesn't quite know what to make of it, so she gets the take of the other person. And you'll hear one story in here that I thought was pretty fascinating, where there's an aha moment that one person has, and they just so happen to be on the phone with the other person. And it's just kind of cool how it transpires. But my sister is one. Remember, Date Like a Dude. And the other one was the professor. Fucks it up with Marianne. I don't think we put the last part in there. I'm sure we had it named something different. She is in here as well, and she was telling her story. So it's these two just talking about how they go about their dating life and how they help each other out. So hopefully you find it as insightful as we did. And remember, sit back, put your feet up, grab the popcorn, enjoy the popcorn, throw some extra butter on there. Not that butter, but the real butter. And if you're in traffic, please do not hit the person next to you. That would just be bad. And sit back and enjoy a threesome. And one more word, of course, from the quote-unquote legal department.
Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions or any entities they represent. This podcast is about dating experiences. It is not to say one dating app is better or worse than another.
All right, so we've talked. The three of us have talked, and you know, like Mandy, we've talked since you learned how to talk. And
before then, I think you're just I mean, I just would listen.
Yeah. I think there was a time when I said, Mom, Dad, you guys can have Steph. Just let me have Mandy. And they thought about that. They thought about that for a while. They're like, that's that little one's the princess.
Adopted a new sister, Galen.
Exactly. So it's awesome how this kind of all comes full circle. So I guess like with the three of you, with the two of you here, like how often, like when all this shit starts popping off, do you guys just like share notes and shit?
Oh my God. Literally every conversation we have, which is, we probably talk on the phone, like 4 times a week, maybe more. Sometimes, depending on what's going on in our lives, like sometimes we talk every day. So
I love it. In anatomy of how it all shook out, Galen, you and our other sister were a couple for a while. And then how long were you guys together? I forget.
We were together for 7 years in total.
Okay. And then a couple years hiatus, and then you and Mandy just ended up clicking again, right? And that's how it kind of, and she loves it when I call her Mandy, I know. And that is that how that, I don't know. I don't even know how that organically happened. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that came about. We were just talking about that the other day. 2017, the summer of like 2017, I think. Because did you reach out or maybe, okay, I remember in 2016 being in the car with Steph on our way to the Valley to go meet up with Uncle Butch, Auntie Linda, and like just like a group. I think it was like May or something, 2016. Anyway, and then I remember being in the car and then my sister reading an email from Galen.
Oh.
And she was reading it to me and she was confused because she was like, it sounds like Galen's like wanting to squash stuff, but it sounds like she's still like raging mad. She's like, I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm just going to like ignore it.
Yeah. I did not know how to communicate effectively back then. And yeah, but I think
door,
what was that?
It opened the door like to
definitely
next year, you guys coming back together. And then we reunited at my old place that had the pool and the view in Redondo. Mm-hmm. And we just had a pool day. I think we just like hung out by the fire pit, like swam or whatever. And that was like the beginning of it all.
And then you two started to become besties, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome.
She was dating boys, and then obviously we know my track record.
Well, yeah. I guess that's the key part of it all. The tie that binded wasn't the sister, like Steph. It was the, hey, she likes boys, so I can help there. And now you have the oh, that's awesome.
The commonality. So, we were just like, we just really clicked on that, and also obviously other aspects of life. So it's been really nice.
That's awesome.
I love my sister from the other mister.
I get to benefit from it all. I saw, just standing back in the crowd. I'm like, I'm just seeing it all unfold, enjoying every minute of it. So that's pretty cool.
Well, you'll love this, brother. Steph once said to Galen a couple years ago, she's like, don't you mean your sister? Like she said to Galen, like, don't you mean your sister? She like
Steph gets a little jealous.
I'm like, well, come around, sister.
All right.
Yeah, so, the interesting thing is like usually, after a serious breakup, which, is what Steph and I had,
7 years, sure.
Usually don't stay in contact with their siblings or their family, at least during the kind of like no contact period where you're both kind of like grieving the loss, feeling all your feelings and stuff. And so it was kind of interesting that when Mandy and I sort of like our friendship started to blossom, like people will be like, oh, how do you know Mandy? And I'm like, oh, she's Steph's sister. And they're like, what? I'm like, yes, I am best friends with my ex's sister. Like and it just works. And, Steph and I are still on cool terms and, it's all good. So,
That's funny.
I feel like you guys will always be like, even though Steph and I didn't end up together, like you guys will always be family.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
100%. 100%. That's just people are in your lives for a reason.
Yeah.
7-year relationship. You chose that person for a reason. They chose you for a reason. Sometimes you grow apart. Sometimes things happen. But, there's always some good there somewhere.
Always.
All right. So back to, I guess, where I should have started there and then gone to, so how often do you talk about the dates or the leading up to the dates or what the heck is going on that you guys talk about with this stuff?
Gosh. If we're not talking about it on the phone, we're blowing up each other's DMs with screenshots of conversations.
Oh yeah.
Dick pics.
So that's the thing, right? So if one gets sent the dick pic, the unsolicited dick pic, it gets sent to the other one, I assume, right?
Even when it's solicited, I could go either way.
Oh, even when it's solicited.
Oh yeah.
We're showing each other. We're like, okay, that one's good. Too many wrinkles on that one. That one's a little too short. That one's perfectly fat. That one, we just go on and on.
Is there a rating system that I need to know about?
No, it's too hard to like, no pun intended.
Well, as we're talking about dick pics, you're saying it's too hard. Just so we're clear.
Variables.
No, you know what? I think like I know this has probably happened to Mandy too a few times, but I've actually had guys send me a picture of their dick flaccid. And I'm like, what makes you think that I'm interested in seeing a flaccid dick? Like,
do you ever get a response? Do you ask that and get a response?
So I feel like Mandy's better at that kind of thing where she'll like come back with some funny comebacks to these guys. I am more of like I'm a little more introverted with it. So I'm just kind of like, why did this dude just send me his soft dick like that? Like, why would he think, it's almost like it's a thought that doesn't actually come out. But now I feel like I would probably say to a guy like, could I get a picture of it hard? Like,
what is this? Is it a fucking before and after? Is that what we're trying to do here?
Like, yeah, it's very bizarre.
Mandy, have you gotten one? Have you gotten a flaccid one?
I have not. It's usually at its finest point.
At its finest point, yeah. Yeah, you're not catching it in its frightened turtle mode, huh?
Yeah, no. I'm really surprised. I'm like, I mean, girls usually send photos with like makeup on or a filter if they're not wearing makeup, like they.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like sending a picture of you just like waking up and like getting out of bed and your hair is just a crazy mess and you just have like dark circles under your eyes.
Totally, that is a great way to compare it.
Yeah, just so we're clear, you're equating that picture to someone send you a soft dick pic, I will say, right?
Yeah, that's like a girl sending a photo of herself without makeup on, and
okay.
It's like it's not looking your finest.
No.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, if we're talking setting the bar low, though, right? Hey, here's, and then, I can't even get behind any of that.
Soft, I don't know. Like, it's just going somewhere.
I can't get behind it. No, I don't understand that at all. All right, so what else is talked about? Like, is it like after, like, it's like, hey, we did have sex, it was great, or it was awful, or hey, he did this weird thing?
Oh, Galen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we definitely have conversations.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be quiet and just put my feet up and listen to this.
Just let us talk. Totally, like
DMs.
I'm a very good critique. Yeah, for me, yeah, Mandy and I will go back and forth and just be like, if she's had sex with somebody, she'll tell me like, very good at describing in detail, like if a guy's a lousy kisser. Like we were actually having this conversation the other day about men and kissing and how, obviously I've dated women as well, and women tend to be much more thoughtful in the way they kiss, whereas I've had some great guys who know how to kiss, but they're too aggressive to start off with. They have like lizard tongue. I mean, so total lizard tongue, and you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, I know.
Man.
Yep.
Well, there's two of them, but she knows who I'm talking about.
Or the one like going through a car wash, like the one you drive in yourself, and it's just like like wow.
And you're just like, wow, what the hell's going on here? But yes, to answer your question, Mandy and I we talk about every single thing.
Yeah, there really is no like anything goes, really. There's just no topics that are taboo.
Is there like a rating system? Like the kissing car wash is kind of funny. That kind of makes me laugh. I mean,
that's a great analogy.
Because fairly true, right? If they're a good kisser, you're probably gonna know in the few minutes, all right, I'm probably gonna sleep with this person. Or if they're a bad kisser, for sure, like there's no fucking way, right?
Yeah, or like for me, I will go, okay, this doesn't seem like we're like on the same page physically. Like the
really nice. She's very nice with it.
Yeah, like in my head, I'll be like, this dude's probably gonna suck in bed, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and like, let's go there and see how it turns out. And it always turns out the way I originally thought.
I was gonna say, like, through both of your extensive research, have you found this theory to be true? If they're a bad kisser and you make it to the bedroom, they're bad in there too, and vice versa? Or
no?
For me personally, yes. I can't speak for Mans.
I'm okay with teaching.
Oh, you are.
Yeah.
You are my sister, the dominatrix. How's it going?
I was just gonna say the dominatrix over there. She's like, listen, sir.
Like, you know what, fucker? Like, you need to just stop that right now. We're starting over, and you're fucking doing it this way, okay? Ace it, we can go further. If not, done.
But they've got to be hot as fuck for you to even get to that point. Because if they're a bad kisser, you're gonna be like, all right, this has got to be.
Exactly it. That's totally like the best point you've ever made in this thing. Like, it literally, because they're extremely cute, but they're just, lacking in that area.
Lacking.
Then I'm like, okay, I'm going to throw out some pointers for you. Pass the test. We can go to the next level.
How does that get received?
Actually, pretty well. Men like to be slapped around.
That's my sister.
They do. They respond pretty well to a very aggressive
aggression.
Yeah, girl. I don't know why. They love the abuse. Taylor Swift was right.
All right. Taylor Swift was right.
She was so right. She was on.
It all comes back to, like, the world according to Tay-Tay is a better way to go, right? I mean, sure. The Tay-Tay Bible would be all right there.
If she preaches it, I feel like it's going to be 99.9% real, true.
Oh my goodness. I'm just learning. I'm learning things. That's all I'm just, this is good
Aren't
education for me. Oh my God. So yeah, when we talked, you had to adjust from women to men, and just kind of the dynamic of that. So kind of the same thing. I mean, obviously this was part of it, the, bedroom and stuff like that. Same bad kiss. Well, I'm sure you ran into fewer bad kissers when it came to women, because I think you said they were more thoughtful. But same thing, like, bad kisser, a woman, bad lover too.
I have to say, like, I'm trying to like go back in my head, because again, I haven't dated women in 10 years, but
I forgot it was that long. I'm sorry.
No worries. Your sister was the last woman I've been with.
Okay.
But if I had it, like kind of going back and trying to remember, I don't feel like I ever came across a woman who was a bad kisser.
Okay.
It always just kind of flowed nicely. So yeah, so getting used to men and like how their energy is when you get in that dynamic was different for me. It was kind of like, obviously I had experienced it before I started dating women, but it was kind of like, it's like riding a bike, right? Like you're like, okay, I know how to do this, but like, how is this going to feel? And it was definitely like emotionally, mentally, and physically, I kind of had to like start over. Like it was kind of like from scratch in a sense. So yeah, there's definitely a learning curve. And I feel like Mandy really helped me kind of get back into that and like what to expect from men, and especially when it comes to behavior. So that was definitely helpful. And then, it's like once I got my own education, especially Mandy knows last year was like my year of exploration with men. And it was such a good education for me that now, with everything I can spot certain behaviors and kind of tell how it might turn out. So it's been really good. Yeah.
I like the analogy of riding a bike. I would definitely say going from women back to men was probably more like riding a unicycle. That would probably
that's actually probably a better analogy.
So many face first crashing and just oh my God, I'm bruised. What do I do now? Yeah, but no, that's funny. So, mans, you guys talk a lot. Like, can you imagine? Like, the support system has to be phenomenal, though.
Oh, yeah. Whenever something comes up or someone says something like wrong to one of us, like usually we'll like talk about it and come up with like a little retort and way to handle it.
Okay. So like, are you saying if somebody shoots you a shitty text, like says something wrong, like you're like, can you believe what this motherfucker said to me, Galen? And then you guys kind of like, all right, what do we get? How we get? Let's get him. Is it something like that?
Yeah. Well,
totally.
So there's a situation with the pink marshmallow on. I won't use his real name, but that was.
Oh my God.
So we're calling this guy code name Pink Marshmallow, right?
Yeah.
I really hope he sent a flaccid one, because that's what a pink marshmallow would remind me of.
He did not. No,
he did not. He's okay.
He's one of those people that has very high regard for himself, which tells Mandy and I that he's actually got insecurities. So, Mandy, I can't remember exactly what he said. So if you do remember, please feel free. Go for it.
Okay. So there was a period of time where they were talking, Pink Marshmallow and Galen. And it almost came to a head. God, I don't use puns, like they're really not intended. So Paddington came in the picture. So Galen and the Pink Marshmallow never met.
Pink Marshmallow. Sorry.
And that is a reference to his dick. Like, let's just be real.
No, but let's be okay. If we're being real, why did it not last? Like I know I'm not a sex. We're not doing a sex, but I'm just curious. Like, how did we get Pink Marshmallow? Yeah, it's not cotton candy.
Yeah, no. I can't remember how it came up between him and I, but he actually named it the Pink Marshmallow.
He did.
And yeah, because like he has a really nice dick. Like it's a good size. He has a nice head on it. Like it was a good dick. I think he was 7 and then pretty girthy.
Okay. That's right.
Okay.
So he actually named his own dick Pink Marshmallow, and then it just kind of came it became like an inside joke between he and I, but I'll let Mandy finish the story now.
Okay.
Well, so the relationship did not work out between Paddington and Galen. So Pink Marshmallow made his way back into the mix and
Circled the wagons.
Yep. And when he heard about the demise of their relationship, he assumed it had something to do with him.
That's right.
Wow. What male ego? What?
Oh
No.
my God. It was so bad.
I will never forget that. And I remember Galen's reaction was just speechless, because what person actually goes that far to say something like that?
Out loud.
Yeah. It was so out of fucking left field. I was just, and now thank you for reminding me, man, because I totally forgot about that. So Pink Marshmallow was being really like, supportive and like asked what had happened between Paddington and I told him, and, he was being very like sweet about it. And he's like, well, it's better to kind of know this about him. And your relationship now, like the compatibility issues, like then, finding this out 5 years down the road. And I was like, yeah, no, you're totally right. And then the conversation stopped for a while. And then he texted me like a half hour later and was like, I just want to make sure that this had nothing to do with me. Now there's context behind that, but because I'm trying to sort of protect Paddington and my relationship in certain dynamics, like I won't tell why. However, I almost said his name, Mandy. Pink Marshmallow just, came back with like it didn't have anything to do with me, right? And I remember like ending that text conversation with him, and I had responded something like, no, it had nothing to do with you. Like kind of in like a joking, like, is this dude for real? And so I remember calling Mandy after he and I had that conversation, and I was like, bitch. I was like, can you believe this motherfucker just said this to me?
And do you remember what my retort was?
I do not, but Mandy will tell you right now, and I really should have said that to him, because it really kind of would have put him in his place. Because like, even though he is he's a caring person for sure, but he also has like the ego of like Donald Trump.
There's a good analogy.
Galen, you should tell him like, oh my God, yes. I'm like, I could not live without you. Like I have to break it off, and like, I just need to see you now. Like, like you should have played into that. And fluffed up his nuts a little bit and just pretended it's all about him, and be like, what the fuck are you talking about, Pink Marshmallow? Like, fucking what the hell?
Yeah, like get over yourself, bro. Like, yeah. And then he and I, like, we talked, Mandy, I think it was like back in April, he had reached out of this year and was like, how are you doing? Like, are you dating again? And I was like, yeah, I'm kind of back out there and, putting my feelers out. And so it started again. And he's one of those guys that like, so he's, I think he's, 12 years younger than I am. And he's never been with a woman that's older than him. I have been with younger men, so that's not anything new to me. But he, like, if there was a chance of us actually meeting and hooking up, because that's all it was going to be, he and I would have never been in a relationship. But it was like, he would always make these comments of like, wow, I might get to fuck an older woman. And I'm just like, oh my God, dude, don't say, like, you make me sound like I'm a grandma or something. Like he was just very kind of like off-putting in certain ways. And this has been going on for probably a little over a year. I think I met him back in like, what was it, like June of last year? And it's sort of been an on and off thing, but we've never met. Like I've made comments like, okay, cool. So when are we going to meet? And then just shit would come up, and I just don't take him seriously at this point. So I wish him well, but I don't wish him like in my life. But Mandy has really good, when we do talk about these things, Mandy has really good, quick-witted, sarcastic, funny responses. And my mind, just for whatever reason, doesn't work that way.
Well, yeah, that's okay. That's just,
you know, so yeah,
way.
so like I will go to Mandy for like, I need to say something to somebody that's a little, you know, witty and whatnot, and she gives really good advice on that.
Oh God, just let me slap him around. It's real psychologically, not overtly.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Based on what we were saying earlier, that might come around too, Miss Dominatrix. I don't know.
I don't know.
That actually happened to me with my relationship with Paddington.
We did
Slapping.
What? Slapping?
Yeah. So he and I, our sex life was very experimental.
Okay,
I got to check off, both him and I, you know, got to check off a lot of like sexual bucket list things. And I was kind of curious about certain things. And so we did play around with some more like dominatrix type, you know.
That's always kind of like like an interesting thing, because like you care about the person, and
Totally.
you're like, all right, we just need to explore. So it's like you start out, and let's just say a hit starts out with like just a small little tap, and like, oh, all right,
Yeah.
so that was okay. So like a month later, you're punching each other. I mean, like it's a gradual, well, not really, but like it's a gradual increase. Like, all right, how hard can this end up going? Like, where's the line to, oh shit, that was too far, my fault. Okay, now we know exactly where the fine line, because like when you're I don't know, when you don't give a fuck and you're just in there flailing and swinging and trying shit, it's like, all right, well shit, not everything's a winner. But when you care, it's walking into the deep end. It's not necessarily jumping into the deep end.
No, yeah, and it was there was a lot of talk involved.
Sure.
There was a lot of trust and respect involved, and that's what made it good, right? Because like if you're, I mean, there was no punching or anything very painful involved. I don't like pain, and I don't like to hurt other people, and he was the same way. So we would talk about levels of what's acceptable, what's not, what feels good, what doesn't. And yeah, we got pretty freaky.
Yeah. That's how you learn though. That's like,
Totally.
It's funny when people are like, oh yeah, you know, we have sex every Tuesday in missionary. What the fuck are you talking about? Why?
Yeah, right?
Why would you do that ever? Stop it, married person.
Oh my God, no. Yeah, no. And I feel like when you really love somebody and they love you, and you guys have really good like physical chemistry, like the sky's the limit. Like, I mean, in that relationship with the men that I've been with, that was the most like loving and experimental and fun sex I've ever had. It was amazing. And you know, and all instances. So kind of miss him for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet. All right. So memory lane, sometimes it's a dead end. So let's be careful.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Totally. Yeah. No, I wouldn't go back to that, but it's, you know, in your head, you're just like, yeah, you know, we had some really great times. So.
Well, like you said before, like, you know, your worth also now, like you've
1,000%
redefined it. So it sounds like you two help each other out a lot with that.
We do. Mandy and I feel like we really level each other up and support each other, and also let each other be who we are, even if we have our differences when it comes to dating and I mean life in general, but we're here to talk about dating.
Yeah, for sure.
We just have a friendship that just works out really good.
Yeah.
So sis, has there been times when you've like come back from a date and it's just been like the best date, and you've talked it out with Gabe and you're like, Wait a second. Maybe I'm a little bit too flying high on this one. Does it happen that way too?
I'm trying to think.
I'm trying to think too. Yeah, well, actually, I do have one in mind.
Who?
I don't want to say his name.
Or the first letter of the
N.
Oh, wait, the married one?
Yes.
Okay.
That's okay. Yeah, that's usually a red flag. Usually.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah.
We weren't sure in the beginning because he was being sort of like covert. We both had our suspicions about it. And hang on one second, guys.
Well, that's right. Let me make sure too. So, Mandy, you were the one who went out with the married guy and then talked to. Okay, all right. I just want to make sure it was you and not Galen.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it was me.
Okay.
And yeah, and that one, gosh, that was like off and on since summer of 2020.
Up until roughly when, or is it still?
March 2022
Okay.
is when I finally like found hard proof.
Yeah. We actually found out while we were on the phone together.
Yeah, it was very strange because I already knew. I had the hunch like the entire time, but part of me remaining involved had to do with feelings for sure. But I just wanted to figure it out. Like part of me just wanted to do the Nancy Drew thing.
So take me through this whole experience. So like when you first went out with this person, you had no idea they were married. Did you meet them on an app, I assume?
Tinder.
So they were, go figure, married and dating.
Yeah.
And you went out on this date and it was a great date. So take me through just how it all kind of played out, like from story of one.
So Tinder matched July 2020. And then we spent probably about a week talking before we actually like went out. And let's see, it was great. He was on like a business trip.
Where was he from?
We didn't know.
Okay, he never said.
Well, I wasn't too clear. It was like he partly grew up here, but he partly grew up in Washington, but then also in Canada. So it was kind of like this like moved around scenario. So it was a little like unclear, but it was like multiple, I guess.
Okay, but this was not home base. Or
not
where you're at was home.
At one point it was, but
okay.
Yeah, I think just briefly. But he had kind of like a sad story where like his parents were like drug addicts and just didn't want to have him or his like sister or his brother. Okay. So like his grandparents like raised him. And I started realizing some signs. And so in the beginning, what I usually do is I'll FaceTime with someone like before I meet them. And that usually gives me like a chance to suss out like, oh, do we have chemistry or is it just, not worth my time? So I asked, him if we could do that, but he was giving me like some excuses and then he would just kind of like push it off. And then he would try to use flattery. Like, oh, you seem like the type of girl that gets everything that she wants. So I'm going to make you wait till tomorrow. And I was like, okay, that's a little sus. I'm like, okay. And he's all, yeah, I have a friend over with like, and their dog or something. And whatever. And I was like, I don't care. Like, just whatever, like just a few minutes, whatever. But anyway, we didn't. And then the next day he was in his truck and there was like an incident where I suspected another person from Tinder, like who lived in San Francisco, but like lived in another area because he was like on military base or something. And then I kind of pieced it together. I'm like, I think this dude is married because he's FaceTiming me from like his car, like never his house. Yeah. So that's when I got that feeling again with this guy.
When was this? How long did this take?
This was actually in the very beginning when he was still like back in 2020 summer.
Okay.
And then, but when we went out, and like whatever, like it was like really like it was just so much fun. Like we just had a great time. We just like, oh my God, it was just like, it was awesome, but it ended abruptly, like at 11, where he like had to go. And I was like, that's weird. And I thought I did something wrong. So, but I was just kind of like, okay, whatever. But then the next day comes and I get a bouquet of flowers like sent to my house with this beautiful note. And I'm like, I mean, this is really great, but I'm like, I don't know. Like, I kind of like, what if I did something wrong? Like he acted weird. Like, I don't know. It just wasn't checking out. So, but whatever, I went through with it some more. And at that point, he had to go again to business trip because he was like a regional sales manager for like a medical sales company.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, whatever, let's just buy it for now. And during that time, Laura and her friend like came out and we all wanted to go to Catalina together. But it was at the time that he was going to be back. So there was also some like red flags when we were trying to like plan for him to like come to Catalina as well with us at one point. But yeah, so whatever, I went to Catalina and then we stayed out there. We were staying out there for a couple days. But I was like so into this guy that I said bye to the girls one day early. And I went back on the ferry myself. I crossed the whole ocean by myself.
I remember you doing that. I didn't know that was why, but I remember that.
That's
trip.
why.
I remember that happening. Yeah. I should have known.
I want to see him again.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't cross oceans for anybody. So by myself.
Let me tell you.
That's a big deal for me.
I know, sis. I know.
You know me. And so so it just started like unraveling kind of weird ever since that point. So whatever, we disconnected for a few months at the end of 2020, reconnected like at the beginning of 2021, and just the whole year of 2021, I might have saw him once, but it was like this push pull, like, oh, come see me. But like, I'd get stood up. It would be like just back and forth. And then finally, the beginning of this year, I got this very odd text from a number I didn't recognize. And it was like, oh, who is this? And all of a sudden I got all worried. I'm like, oh, this is the moment. Like, this is where, like, if he's married, this is where the wife finds out. And she's trying to like, figure out who I am. And so it ended up not being the case at all. It wasn't, because I went on to there's a website you can go to, type in their phone number. And then for like a small fee, you can get who, like the name and like all the details of this person who's associated with the phone number. So it turned out to be a woman, like just some chick in North Carolina, like some nobody. But it got me like, that little feeling. I was like, it made me think of the married guy. And I was like, I should do it for him. Because I did do it one other time, like in the beginning of when he and I connected. I did look up his phone number, but it was only connected to the company he had worked for. So I didn't get any information. So, but this time, having done it, I was like, you know what if I just try one more time? I'm so glad I did, because I got all the information
Wow.
that I needed. And it showed his address, because I never knew where he lived. And it showed his address. It was like a city nearby, and it was, it showed who lived there. And there was like this woman with like the last name. And I was like, what if that's just his sister? And then I looked it up and Galen was on the phone with me. We're just finding the website. She's a hairdresser in El Segundo. Like,
oh, shit.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, I'm like, my mind is blown. I found her Instagram, and on Instagram, it's like, shows pictures of them. And I'm like, my God. And so I reached out to him, because at that point we had kind of like, we weren't on speaking terms, but you can go and hear from me anyway. And I know how to, if I'm blocked, I know how to get past that too. Hear from me. So yeah, I just sent him like pictures, and I was just like, oh, I hope you and Megan, whatever, I don't know, Megan. I'm like, I hope you guys. I'm like, I'll send you a wedding gift. Like,
oh shit.
like you guys are. Hopefully, you're so happy together and enjoy.
Did he
your
reply?
No.
No. Yeah. Didn't think he did, but that would be much more fun if he did.
Yeah. No comments even to this day.
Really?
So,
So a year and a half almost, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and the interesting thing is with this situation, there were two things that stand out to me. Is one, the first time, like Mandy and I tried to use our, FBI skills to, figure out really who he was, but we had his last name wrong.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
We had the last name wrong. So that was like the first, attempt. And the other part was like, Mandy and he became really close friends beyond whatever feelings they had for each other. And, she had brought it up to him. She's like, are you married? Like, if you are, like, just tell me, like, I'm not going to hate you. I feel like you're hiding something. And if you are, it's cool. We're not going to continue on, but like, I just be, like have some respect for me and like, let me know. And he would always deny it. No. So when she did find out,
like, if you are like, literally, it's fine. Like, I don't even care. Like, I'll still like you. And like, it's fine. Like, I'd rather just like, no, I was like, I could see if maybe like you guys had separated when we met and then like you guys decided to get back together. Like that's fine. Like, I can understand either way, just let me know. Like, I'd rather just know the truth and just go with it that way. And he was just like, no, like, I'm not. And oh yeah, you're not.
He didn't want to, like he's
outside.
not, and he didn't want to give up that sex.
Well, we never did.
You never had sex.
No.
You went across the ocean for no sex?
I crossed a whole goddamn ocean by myself.
Yeah.
By myself. And
for
because I really
an atta girl and a kiss on the cheek.
I liked him. I don't
Look,
know.
I'm proud of you. Don't get me wrong. I'm just a little surprised.
Well, that night it did come down to it, but I don't know. Like, I panicked and then I was like, I don't know. Like, I just something felt weird.
Yeah,
and I was just like,
maybe the wedding ring in his pocket. I don't know.
he was really good at hiding the fact. But I do think that if Mandy and I had his real last name, we would have figured it out a lot sooner.
So to clarify, like, he didn't purposely give me the wrong last name. I misheard it because it's like the way that it was said could sound like two different things. So it sounded like your friend Joe, Chris. I thought it was your friend Joe's last name.
Okay, I got you.
So that's what I thought, but it was actually it had a G at the end. Piece that together.
Okay, I got you. That's an easy mistake. I mean, that's a real easy mistake. That's just.
I mean, he didn't correct me when I did type it out in text, the last name. I was like, oh, Mr. blah, blah, blah. And then he like didn't correct me. So he was probably like, oh, good, this dumb bitch.
I wouldn't. Yeah. Right then he's going, oh, she's checking on me, but she's checking on the wrong guy.
I was like, wow, no wonder you don't exist. Wow.
So you two, I mean, you sound better off. I mean, I think that's the obvious statement. So much better off to have each other when you go through this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've had many talks about it. I've like cried on Galen's shoulder like so many times.
Oh, and I've done my fair share too. Like it's been like we are our go-to people with all things relationship related. And so that's really that's really helped us grow as people. And then it's also really bonded us as friends.
I love it.
I agree.
Well, I mean, so like that's kind of the nice thing about having the two of you together at the same time. Like it's like the first thing that I've said on this pod is, you know, you get unsolicited, you send it to your friends. Well, you are the friends that you're going to send everything to.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, that's a must.
It is muddy waters, to say the least, that if you don't have a team around you in place to help you navigate those waters, that just seems like something you need to have as a woman, especially.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Having that support system is really important, because sometimes, you know, like when we have feelings for people, we may not be seeing it from like a practical or logical side as well. So it's nice for, you know, like your friend to be like, yeah, I can totally see that, but I also see this or whatever. And it just really helps us navigate the dating world.
Yeah. Because I want to know if I'm being too one way or the other, and you know, and I'll like constantly ask Galen. I'm like, am I being cuckoo?
Yeah. And I've literally done the same thing, especially during my breakup. Like Mandy really helped me see like my positive qualities, but she also gently pointed out like, you know, things that I don't want to say did wrong, but like, you know, the other side of me too. And that actually really helped when it came to getting closure for that relationship, you know, because I was seeing part of like my part in the demise of the relationship, but she did it in such a nice, gentle way that I was like, oh my God, you're right. Like I can take responsibility and accountability for my part in this. And I mean, that just helps you heal. So having Mandy in my life to talk about these things. And again, like obviously our relationship doesn't just revolve around dudes, but
right.
But that is a huge part of it. We are our go-to people for that.
That's awesome. Because it is some fucked up muddy water. So you really are talking like it. And I was so interested on like, oh, well, Galen, have you found yourself like all of a sudden like, oh my God, is this dude married that you might be going out with because of Mandy ran into it?
Yes. Yeah. And I think that in general, all women go through this, because there are a lot of guys on dating apps that pose as single but are actually married. And I have come across men like that myself. There was one guy that I was talking to, and Manny, I don't know if you remember, I don't even remember this guy's name, but he lived out in like Camarillo, and he was
Did it start with
what was that?
Did it start with a D?
No. That's another one. Yeah, that's another story. I still never figured that one out. But there's one guy that I met on Tinder, and he lived out in Camarillo, and he had a son who was autistic. And so we were talking about like a possible friends with benefits kind of situation. And the times that he had allotted were a lot like Mandy. It was just like weird times that he could only meet during certain times. And I started to kind of like piece it together. And so I asked him straight up, I was like, are you married? And he actually admitted to me that he was.
Oh, wow.
He's like, yeah. And I said, well, can I ask why you were doing this? Like honestly, from a psychological standpoint, just to kind of understand why maybe men, go out on their spouse.
Right.
And he told me that the reason he did it is because he felt with his wife that she was not giving him enough affection. The sex had sort of died her career came first before him and their child. Obviously, their child had autism. And so, he felt a lot of like emotional disconnect with her. And so we sort of talked about that. I didn't end up meeting him. But it was interesting to kind of get a man's perspective who does go out on their wife of why.
Wow. And to be, it sounds like he was fairly honest about it. Like usually it's, you're not going to get the, yes, I'm married. And even if you are, like, there's usually, I don't want to say a deep, like, it seems like he's easier to have a conversation with a stranger about, she's not comfortable or she's not attentive enough. He probably hasn't had that conversation with her.
No,
that'd be my guess.
He hasn't. And honestly, like, that kind of gave me a sense of empathy for him. Like, even though I don't condone cheating, I've cheated on people in my 20s. I've been cheated on. I think that it's not a really nice behavior. However, I still kind of had empathy for his situation, even though at that point I didn't want to sleep with him anymore. Like, there was that aspect of like, I could see why. I mean, I do think he probably should have had a conversation with his wife to try to like work that out. But now I can kind of see why people cheat on either spectrum, whether it's a man or a woman. So that was kind of a good learning lesson for me.
Yeah. I saw that happen to a friend of mine. He actually cheated on his wife, and I was like, what the fuck? And then he went through the whole story, and I was like, I can kind of see that. I can kind of understand why that happened. And, it sucks. Like I was married for almost a decade and things weren't always good. I just couldn't be responsible for that kind of hurt. But I can see why some people can. Huh.
Yeah, definitely. There's, it's like, if you try to look at a person's situation without judgment and actually try to understand why they do why they do what they do, it makes more sense.
Oh yeah, if you can get away from the oh my god you did what to right, tell me the whole story, then you're kind of like, oh shit. And like, the thing that people got to be careful of then is, all right, are they feeding me a line of bullshit because they want to go out and get laid a lot, or are they telling me the truth? And you can usually, if you keep that in mind and you know the person, you have a good idea.
100%.
So teamwork is what makes the dream work. Is that that's what I'm understanding here? Between you two and collaborating, and everybody should have a buddy, have a thunder buddy and everything like that.
Definitely have a buddy for the slums.
Yes.
Like,
dramatic, it's not the slums, but just because you're dating, you're not in anything serious, so you get a mixed bag of things.
I get that you're being dramatic about the slums, but you've also navigated these waters for years. Like, you've got, like, you're a fucking guide and shit. Like, you can just navigate them by the North Star, like, back in the day.
The North Star, I love it.
But you get someone who's just signing up and just like going, oh my God, they log in and they have 30 new likes every time they log in. Like, they need a buddy, huh?
Oh yeah, because then it's like, you can throw out the pictures, get second opinions about this one, or the funny part, and I've seen a lot of memes created over this topic, but whenever we do find one that we think is like really cute and funny or like charming and we're like interested in, like, the next step is to send a photo to your friends or friend, in my case, and get the opinion. But the thing is, when I look through all their photos, like, I always think like, oh, okay, he's cuter in person, but like, these are, it's like the common thing that like girls say, like, and I feel like I've said it. I think I've heard Galen say it a few times.
Oh yeah. Oh,
like,
totally.
Like you're saying that because they don't look as great in the pictures? Is that what you're trying to? Hey, I know he's not as hot, but I swear he's hot when you really see him. That's what you're doing.
I'm trying to find his best photo.
I don't think
we absolutely do that.
Oh, you fuckers.
Guilty.
I don't think I asked either one of you this, but I heard this is happening. Guys use filters more often now than before.
I have seen it a few times on dating apps, but I usually, like, for me, if they're using like a Snapchat filter with like bunny ears, that is an automatic swipe left.
Yeah.
That is a huge turn off for me. I'm like, no. Yeah.
Oh, that's a 12-year-old. That's got to be a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, that's.
You haven't seen many filters, man?
I don't come across that too often now.
Okay. But
Yeah.
but you have?
I have actually recently. It's pretty common for me to like talk to these dudes like through Snapchat, and like
I gotcha.
sometimes they don't even have my phone number, but we'll just end up Snapchatting, and we'll do like video where I record a video and just send it, and then like he'll do a video and like send it that kind of way.
Yeah, like Marco Polo.
Yeah. And there was this guy recently who used a filter. I was like, and it wasn't even to be like funny, like, because if it's different if you're like both acknowledging like you're just being silly and you're just like back and forth at each other. Like I've done that and that's fun for me, but that wasn't happening. That wasn't the case here. And I got a video, and it was the one where like there was like extra long lashes and eyeliner, and I was like, no.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, this guy was really cute, and he's like really fit and really handsome. And but his personality, like if he wasn't being like calm, normal, whatever, there was like a part of him that was like highly excitable, where he's just like, like just kind of, and I'm like, ew.
Yeah.
It was like
Ritalin.
Yeah, like, but that combination with like this spontaneous use of filter with like that's more on the glamorous side was really just not cute.
So what's more annoying? What's more annoying? Like looking at some dude that you're like, oh my God, he's hot, but what the hell's going on with these filters? Or he just sent me the flaccid dick. I mean, like,
I mean, they go hand in hand.
Oh, all right. All right.
They really go hand in
All
hand.
right. But it's that bad, right? I mean, like the filters are that bad, huh?
I'm like, don't try and rock the glamour filter, bro. Like, what are you doing? Like,
The glamour filter.
yeah, what the fuck? Like, I'd rather see bunny ears at that point. Like, don't like get makeup on. Like, I'm not searching for a woman. I'm searching for a masculine man. Thank you. Like, the hell?
That's what I'm thinking. Oh, shoot. All right. So we'll wrap this up. I know I've said it before, but I like this. I just like that you guys are talking to each other, helping each other out. And like, other than them checking out this Instagram site called Date Like a Dude, any other thoughts you want to shoot out to anybody?
Is that what you're doing?
It's for both of you, whoever talks first. You both are allowed to talk, one after the other.
Well, I think a buddy system is very important to have, because you'll lose your sense of humor very fast. Take any of this seriously. It's just, I feel like it's just important to have a sense of humor, and to, if you can loosen up around sex and dating and meeting people and being open to it, like, and just leading with your crotch, like you're like, just do that. You'll have fun. Lead with your crotch, people.
Lead with your crotch.
Just lead with that shit.
Stay like a dude. I get it. Galen.
Well, I also think it's really important, and I think it would be important for men as well to have a buddy system, or your sort of partner in dating crime, like Mandy and I have with each other. And and kind of like, yeah, loosen up, but also like know what you're looking for, right? Like know what you can handle. I used to go into things with only a mind of looking for a relationship. And the more I sort of like loosened myself up to just having experiences, like I started to have more fun with that, you know? So
everyone really is looking for their person, however they want to define it, like marriage, relationship, living together, whatever. I feel like everyone at the end of the day, through all the bullshit, really like they all want that. It's just, you know, the journey of finding it, or, you know, allowing yourself to have fun in the process of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to add to that, like for myself, I kind of always came from a place of like, maybe I shouldn't sleep with a guy too soon because he won't respect me or whatever. But my mind and that thought in my head changed when I met Paddington, because he and I, you know, I told you before, Chris, that he and I talked about 10 days through text before we actually met in person. And we had already sort of like built up a rapport and all that kind of stuff. So we had sex basically the second time we saw each other. And he fell totally in love with me. He was totally romantic. So I think with certain men, that whole like, oh, don't sleep with them too soon because it's, you know, it's going to push them away. They're just going to hit it and quit it. Like that doesn't always apply. That doesn't apply to men who are more emotionally attuned and emotionally mature. Sure, you're going to come across dudes who just want to bang. Like you definitely will. But it's okay for women to want to, what did you say?
Because girls want to just bang too sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a very sexual person, and I don't feel like women should have to. I feel like it should be equal. You know, like I don't believe in slut shaming. I don't believe in any of that. It's like
no,
we're all grown ups here. Yeah. And if I come across a guy who would think that I was a slut because I slept with him on the second date, then he's not the person for me anyway. I don't want to be around a man who has that mindset.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, like there's no such thing. Like the slut shaming is just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard on the planet.
It's all man-made. Yeah,
it is. It's literally man-made.
Yeah, there's no reason for it to be like okay for a guy and not okay for a girl. Like that's just man-made. That's made up.
Totally.
Like if it's okay for one type of person or gender or whatever, then it's okay for everybody.
Yeah,
that's just essentially removing the person who was like divvying it up. Like it's okay for you, not okay for you. Okay for you. It's like no, that goodbye. Like like, it's fine for everybody.
Toodaloo. Yes.
Yeah, it's just very man-made, and you know, if you believe in that, fine. If that works for you, fine. But are you going to end up settling and not enjoying as much? Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's also how you figure out what you want. Like if you're not out there doing it, you're never going to realize what you like and what you don't like. And I think the sleeping with somebody faster than you should, but yeah, that's just fucking fiction. That's not real. That's totally fake. But even in, let's just say Galen's situation, she's talking to somebody over text message, you know, for quite a while, for like 10 days. You learned more in that 10 days than people did 20 years ago in 3 years, you know, sometimes. Yeah. So the speed to execution is a little bit different now than it was back then, because you're probably talking all day long over those 10 days and knowing more about them and connecting better with them than a fucking pen pal did in fucking 1950.
Totally.
The rules of engagement are a little different.
They are.
Yeah.
So, well, ladies, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it very much.
Thanks for
having us.
Yeah, it was
fun.
In unison.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now that you guys are sharing the same brain and everything, it works out pretty good. I'm glad it all kind of worked out this way. It's weird, like how life happens. It's pretty amazing.
It is, and I've said that to Mandy multiple times. I'm like, who would have thought that I would have dated your sister, and then, eventually you and I became best friends. Like it's super cool. Life has a really unexpected and pleasant way of working out.
Thank you for being along for the ride on the Swipe Wrong podcast, where we take everyday people like you and me telling their everyday stories of their swipe right life. Show is produced by Jay Pelham. He is the host of Pelham Place. If you want to reach out to the show and tell us your story, we'd love to hear it. Give us a call. Google Voice us at 317-426-6616. Leave your information and we'll get back to you, or just your story. You can also email us at swipewrongpod@gmail.com. We are on Insta, Facebook, TikTok. We're out there. I am Chaos, the host of Chaotic Commentary. You can find me pretty much anywhere that you see me. And next week, the saga continues.
Swipe wrong. Swipe wrong.